Jai Gurudev, we can get started. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudirayet. So the beginning of bhakti has started off with Arjuna, with the change of the way he is addressing Krishna. And he's had a good stretch of about 6 or 7 shlokas at a stretch. In fact, most of it he was actually glorifying Bhagavan, giving him all kinds of adjectives, Lord of creation.
Creation, a lot of all the living things.
Yeah.
A lot of praise, like he was
lot of
praised.
praise.
Yeah.
So that shift from the second chapter where he is Karpanya Dosho Pahata Swabhavaha, he's like completely gone. He's like totally depressed. From that state, he has come to a state of a bhakta right now. He's in awe, actually. He's in awe of Krishna's, of Bhagavan's manifestation, and he wants to know more about it. And rightly so, because he says, Bhagavan keeps saying, whoever keeps thinking about me, meditating upon me, I will protect them. They will not lead, there will not be any destruction. So rightly so, he has this doubt on what form should I meditate? How should I, on what of your manifestation should I think of?
As we all have a lot of questions about.
I know.
Which God to pray and what we do and all that. The same question he has. Even, I heard that question. I wanted to see, but I think it will come later about he is Shankara and all that. That going back to the same way, where he did the Vishnu Sasanam in that.
Purushottama, right? You were talking of Someone was asking about Purushottama.
Purushottama. Actually, when you talk about this glories of Vibhudi's yoga and this particular thing, I just read about one sloka only. Then, as you said, I was falling asleep as I was reading this particular thing. And so that one, what he said, like he says, oh, Mahabahu, like he has like nice long arms or like something like that. He's described Arjuna, right? So when he describes the god, the god is, I mean, we say even though Arjuna has mighty arm, that is the glory of this Arjuna, but that glory belongs to the God, like the God, Lord. So wherever there is beauty and fame, that is that is God, like and that's how he exists. So in the same way, then if he is God, then we are also the Brahman, like like it kind of comes. That's how described. I'm not putting it right way, but
no, when you attribute all the beauty that you see outside and inside of you, you also if supposing you're very beautiful or you sing very well or you're a good cook or you're a good painter, whatever it is,
Right.
Then when you attribute that as the glory, as the vibhuti of Bhagavan, then
Mm-hmm.
there is the chance for your ego to be either, to bloat up, will become
Mm-hmm.
less. Number one. And second, if you see someone else, there is beauty outside of you, the chance of you becoming jealous of that person or that
Will
whatever
be less.
will be
Yeah.
less. So
Yeah.
when you attribute all of this to Bhagavan,
Mm-hmm.
all the vibhuti that you see outside
Mm-hmm.
and inside of you, then um, you're not inflating your ego, or you're not causing giving room for jealousy to creep in. So
See.
you're exalting yourself to a higher pedestal.
Mm. So that
This,
one thing, yeah, it was nice to read, like, like how we can, why we reading about this glory of
right.
the Vibhuti, like, so, um, what else I wanted to tell you about? Yeah, about that. So in that one, like I was telling you, like the Dharma, Yudhishthira's asking Bhishma about all these questions. That one point, I think he asked about Shiva. I think I don't remember how that came about, but there is one part where they talk about Shiva, and Bhishma says, "Oh, I can't say. I am not like fit to be answering that one because he's so a great person. Like great God." And so you ask Krishna can tell you about it. He's probably the right person to talk about Shiva. So then again, they're doing the Shiva Sahasranamam in that book, in that parva. I
Mm.
didn't know that initially. I thought only Vishnu Sahasranamam, but then they do have the Shiva Sahasranamam also. Like that, that question also came up in my head. Like, what are we talking about here? There's so many gods here again. So anyway,
Yeah, Hari Om. Ma Parvati also had that same question. Like they both contemplate each other. I mean, they both. Lord Shiva has
mhm.
Lord Vishnu as his Ishta Devata, and Lord Vishnu has Lord Shiva as his Ishta Devata. That's so
Right.
beautiful play, actually.
Yeah, they kind of complement each other in everything. So then the question comes, who is this Maya? I mean, who the creator, and that kind of stuff. But then I said, forget it. It's all Bhagavan. That's the Bhagavan with all the six characters.
Yeah.
You don't want to give this name Shiva or Parvati, or I mean, of course, they're all like when you read the thing, oh my God, like you kind of imagine like my I from the very good artist family, I you probably may not know because he's in Tamil Nadu. It's like he drew one picture called Sivan Ula. Sivan Ula means that Pradosha time where the Lord Shiva and Parvati will be under Vagna, and all the devas there, you know.
There will be
Uh,
what in Pradosha time?
like all the devatas, all the guy, Lord Shiva will be in the Rishabha Vagana, right? And then
Ah,
he's coming there, and then all of them worship in Prashot column. All the people are worshipping. I mean, Devas and Brahma, Vishnu, all the and Ganas, all of them there, and then there are also these different like a people who worship in the world, right, in the loka. They he put a picture like how young person praise God, like when you fold your both hands like in front of you, right?
mm,
And as you're growing older and older, the both hands goes up and up, up and up. As you're getting older, like your hand is naturally goes above your head, you know.
mm,
So he kind of put this. I wanted that picture from him, and he said once he he did it and he wouldn't draw it again. So I said, okay, fine. I liked it in the different color, but it was beautifully drawn. That picture is really nice. So like that, you have all this picture in your mind. When you read this Mahabharata, you imagine all that this happening. And I am a little confused. Krishna himself did some tapas in Rishikesh or someplace. I don't remember exactly. And then I maybe we have to ask Nana only to tell the story a little bit better because uh, yeah, I was confused about there was a person by name Upamanyu. I don't know who that is. That is the Krishna and the previous Janma, or is it different Rishi? I didn't get that. So I didn't want to read. When you start reading it, I can't leave the book or this thing. At
Mm.
12:45, 1 o'clock in the night, oh my God, I got to sleep. I get one doubt, okay, let me read it up a little bit and then I keep on reading. And it's so nice to.
It is good, no? The flame of Jnana Nishta is lit. That commitment is there. That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Mm.
but I am sure, I don't know, you have it in your language. When you read it in a language that it's so interesting. I
Mm.
mean, of course, I like to learn Sanskrit, but it will take time for me. So now I'm reading in Tamil only, so it's really fun to read. I mean,
Very good.
like, yeah. Sorry, I
Even
didn't want
I
to.
have a bit of a free time now,
Mm,
so I've
mm,
actually started reading um,
mm,
chapter 10, the PDF.
mm-hmm.
So it is actually so beautiful the way Swamiji has explained.
I only read up to second verse.
Uh,
So after that, I couldn't. I mean, as I said, I
so
felt,
it
yeah.
makes so much sense. Nana had in the beginning itself said, before
Mm-hmm.
the class, read up at least about two or three other shlokas or three, four shlokas, go
Right.
back to the PDF.
Mm,
Our understanding, I think, will be much better
right.
when
If
uh,
you
when we
together.
read up. Yeah,
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
nice.
Every time I start reading, like every chapter, I read in the beginning, and then we are going so fast that I lost track of it.
Yeah,
Then now and then I
very
have a question in the paragraph, and I'll go and look it up and see. But then it doesn't stick to my head, like all these names and I mean
that's
the
okay.
stuff.
That's okay
Yeah,
as long as the concept is there. Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
mhm.
Shanaihi, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Don't
No,
worry about that.
I thought I'll read fast, like before he goes through all the. My
Hmm.
second sloga itself, I went to sleep. Oh my God.
So just that awareness, Swamiji talked about
Mm-hmm.
the difference between self-knowledge when the mind wants to read about the self-knowledge or know about the self-knowledge as against the outside world. This
Mm.
film of Raga and Dvesha come dancing in, and
Mm.
either you fall asleep or your mind wants to gets distracted into the senses, wants to
That's
do this, wants
true.
to do that. So
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
it is a little bit of awareness only. It's okay. I
Mm-hmm.
think as long as we are aware that we are falling asleep, that is
Yeah.
fine. I think we continue reading and that commitment will build. Slowly but surely it will build. I
Yeah.
remember my father, if he
Mm.
picks up a book,
Mm-hmm.
and he's done this several times. He's read the
Mm-hmm.
Gita home study several times. He's read the Mahabharata several times. Same with Bhagavatam and Ramayana. He just picks it up and he just goes on and on. He can spend hours at it,
Yeah. Yeah. It
you
is.
know.
You
So
you
that is
pray it.
actually a blessing. That is again a vibhuti of the Lord.
Right.
Jai
Yeah.
Gurudev. In fact,
Mm.
I wanted to say the same thing. Like, the only subject keeps me awake and alert is this. Otherwise, if I sit to watch some movie and all, I might feel asleep. But with this kind of reading, this kind of subjects will keep me awake throughout. And I myself keep wondering, like, how can I mean, even the astrology classes or whatever, I would sit for 10 hours, 8 hours. But other things, if someone asked me to read or anything, I would not. I would not have that much of patience, or that strength I don't have. But these subjects uh, keep my interest, and I'm awake.
Mm.
It's a blessing.
It is good, like whenever I take a book, I used to read completely, like I can't keep the book down, like Ramakrishna, all those biographies I read long time ago, like Mahabharata, the small, Rajaji wrote a small Ramayana and Mahabharata, like that one in English, I read it before, long time ago. But then when it comes to that, yeah, you read fast. That's how I thought, okay, let me see before I catch. I will probably have to sit in the morning itself to read it. I wish it's an audiobook kind of thing, so it'd be nice to listen to his wording.
Yeah. Shall we just go through these shlokas once and go to chapter 2? Arjuna Uvacha Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Vibhum Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve Devarshirnaradastatha Asito Devalo Vyasaha Swayam Chaiva Bravishi Me. So Arjuna said, O revered one, you are limitless Brahman, the light of all lights, the most purifying. All the sages, including Narada, the sage among gods, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa, talk of you as the eternal being, not of this world, the source of all the gods, unborn and all pervasive. And indeed, you yourself tell me so. Sarvametat Tritam manye yanmam vadasi keshava nahi te bhagavan vyaktim vidude vidurdevana danavaha. All this which you have told me, O Lord, I consider true. Indeed, Lord, neither the celestials nor the Rakshasas know your person. That is, they do not know what you are. स्वयमेवात्मनात्मानं वेत्थत्वं पुरुषोत्तम भूतभावनभूतेश देवदेव जगत्पते. You yourself know yourself with your own mind. O the most exalted being, the creator of all beings, the ruler of all beings, the Lord of the lords, the Lord of the gods, the Lord of creation. Vaktumarhas, yeah.
1 second. The verse 15, that you read, where the Rakshasas or the play people, they don't know you. That means he's talking about Lord Krishna is in the human form, right? That's the reason they don't know the celestials and Rakshasas. Is that the meaning? Because, what I thought, somebody who knows all the present, past, and future, then they able to realize, like Vyasa Bhagavan, he says Krishna is Lord, he knows he's not just a human person. He's, avatar, Vishnu's avatar, like that. And he is able to predict what's going to happen in the future with the war and everything else. So like that, the other people don't know.
Yeah, probably. See, whether it is knowing Krishna as Bhagavan, or when you look at Vedanta Vidya, when you look at Atma Vidya, knowing himself or themselves to be Atma, it
Oh,
it 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 makes it
the
means the
Atma not
same.
okay. That the tattva is not
Tattva is
there.
the same, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Here,
So,
Bhagavan is saying, I am the Lord, I am Paramatma, I am Purushottama, is because he's talking of that one absolute. He's not talking of himself as Krishna in the form.
right.
He's talking of
Yeah.
the absolute.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So then they are not knowing the Atma. They don't
Yeah.
themselves know.
And of course, in this Janma as an avatar, he has
Mm-hmm.
come in the form of Krishna. He's come in the Nama Rupa as Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
So that is also fine. I mean, till now, even Arjuna did not know, no? He only talked to him as a friend, as a relative, as a
Mm-hmm.
well-wisher. Only now, in the last few verses, he starts talking to him as the Lord of Lords, as the Creator, as
Mm-hmm.
Purushottama. So even for
Right.
Arjuna, the shift happens only now.
No, right. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think both are there. What you said is also fine.
Mm. Correct. Thanks.
वक्तुमर्हस्य शेषेण दिव्या ह्यात्मविभूतयः याभिर्विभूतिर्भिर्लोकान् इमां त्वं व्याप्य तिष्ठसि. You indeed are capable of telling in full the extraordinary glories of yourself, the glories by which you remain pervading these worlds. Katham vidyamaham yogin stvam sada parichintayan keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintyosi bhagavan maya. He's talking of him as only Bhagavan. He's not even talking of Madhusudana, and he used to call him uh, Govinda. All that he's not calling him anymore. He's only addressing him as Bhagavan.
Right.
Always contemplating, how can I know you? Oh, the greatest of the yogis. And in which things are you to be meditated upon by me, O Lord? Vistarenatmano yogam vibhutincha janardana bhuyah katayat triptirhi shrunvato nasti me mritam. Please describe again in detail the wonder and the glory of yourself, O Lord, because I, the listener of this nectar, have no satisfaction. So this is kindled Arjuna's uh, interest in knowing more about the glories of Bhagavan.
Very nice. Tripti, like that was
Yeah, I'm not satisfied, he says.
that, the nectar. Good. So we have done 19 from 19 tomorrow.
19
Right.
tomorrow, yes. Let me
Okay.
just say the
Mm-hmm.
Brahmana, you were asking about the karma thing, right? And my
right.
internet was not, it was shaky, so I couldn't hear it properly. So we don't have the control on the thoughts which come into us because those are prakriti driven, but
Huh.
we have a say on it through our free will. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
And only when we dwell on those thoughts, only those give the karma.
Correct.
Okay.
We stopped here yesterday, I think. This was...
Yeah, I missed it yesterday. So did you I thought you must have done the second chapter already. I
No,
thought
we
you
didn't complete the second chapter. We're still in verse 69, I think.
Oh wow.
69, or
Hmm.
where are we?
Last time I read was 63 or something. Anyway.
You were there day before yesterday, no? We did 67. We're in 69. We'll do this. We'll start with this. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehe. Sarva bhutanam, for all beings, ya, that which, nisha, night, tasyam, in that, samyami, one who has mastery over oneself, who is wise, jagarti, is awake, yasyam, that in which, bhutani, beings, jagrati, are awake, sa, that, pashyataha munehe, for the wise man who sees nisha, night. There's such a beautiful shloka. In that which is night for all beings, the one who is wise, who has mastery over oneself, is awake. That in which beings are awake is night for the wise one who sees. Krishna had been answering Arjuna's question about how a person of wisdom, a Sthita Prajna, is defined and how such a person interacts with the world. Upon analysis, we find Krishna's answer a very interesting one. First, he defined a Sthita Prajna as one who is happy with himself, by himself, and thereby one who is free from the hold of all desires. One who is able to give up all binding desires as they arise in one's mind, being happy with oneself, in oneself, is awake to the nature of oneself and is therefore wise. The wisdom of such a person is steady. Although Arjuna expressed the second part of his question with the words, "How does a wise person talk, sit, and walk?" the spirit of his question was, how does such a person interact with the world? Taking the spirit of Arjuna's question into account, Krishna replied that one's wisdom is steady only when one's mind is no longer a problem. That is, when the mind is not going outwardly, is not getting caught up in the senses, and therefore is released from the clutches of raga and dvesha. Krishna said that raga, dvesha are the cause for one's knowledge being stifled or inhibited. For the person whose sense organs are freed from raga and dvesha, and whose pursuits are not backed by raga, dvesha, the knowledge remains because he or she has a cheerful mind, a mind that is not in the hands of raga and dvesha. Krishna then summed up by saying that for the one who has withdrawn the sense organs from the sense objects, the one who has the sense organs with oneself, if indeed this person has self-knowledge, that knowledge will be steady. Having said all this, Krishna was not very happy with his reply to Arjuna's question, because he knew that to know whether or not another person is wise, you yourself must be wise. How else are you going to know otherwise? Only a person who is wise knows what it takes to be wise. Arjuna thought that the characteristics of a wise person could be a kind of sadhana for him, a means for becoming wise. But how could he understand these characteristics if he himself was not wise? This is what Krishna still had to convey to Arjuna. Ignorance and knowledge are like night and day. Krishna had talked about the person who is happy with himself or herself. And since a mad man can also be happy with himself, he also pointed out that a Sthita Prajna must have knowledge. So this is the difference. Mrinal, you had mentioned, remember, that some of your relatives are very calm. They're Sthita Prajna. They're not called Sthita Prajna. They are calm, they're happy with themselves, but they do not have knowledge. No. So the Sthita Prajna is one who is not only balanced, who's not only equipoised, but also has knowledge. Recognizing, however, that his description of a wise person was not complete, Krishna adds this very interesting verse. In essence, what he says is that a wise person is like a wise person, and the other wise cannot really understand such a person without becoming wise. He illustrated his point by saying that what is night for all people is day for a wise person who has the mind and senses with him or her. Such a person is called a samyami here. The word yama means mastery or control over the mind and senses. And samyami, one who has that mastery along with knowledge. Further, Krishna said, that which is day for everyone else is night for the wise person, called Muni here. Muni means the one who sees things clearly, Manana Shila. For this person of clear vision, the state that everyone else thinks of as day is night. In other words, when all beings are awake, the Sthita Prajna sleeps. And when they are asleep, the wise person is awake. Does this mean then that one who is wise is some nocturnal being like a bat or a thief who prowls about at night? Not at all. Just as the darkness of night does not allow you to see objects as they are, night here represents darkness with reference to one's knowledge not being clear. The wise person is awake to what is night for all beings, the night of avidya, ignorance. I like Swamiji's sense of humor over here. What is not known to people is called the sleep of night, the sleep of darkness or ignorance, avidya nidra. In this sleep of ignorance, people are like somnambulists, sleepwalkers. This state is more than just sleep. These people are all dreamers. They are sleeping but awake, just like in a dream. They are awake and perform all kinds of activities, but still they are asleep because they are not awake to certain realities. If you are totally asleep or totally awake, you have no problem. The problem is when you are only half awake. This being a state where mistakes are possible. In dream, a person is partly awake, meaning that there is some projection by the mind. The person is not identified with the body and the physical reality, but is identified with memories and thoughts from which a dream world is set up. So here when Bhagwan talks of the night of a person, the Muni or the Samyami is awake, is day for that person. It means the night of avidya, the night of darkness, the darkness of avidya. So we are all like in a dream.
So the wise person is awake, meaning like basically they have the knowledge. That's the reason they can see everything clearly. Whereas the unwise person or not wise person is not able to see things clearly
Correct.
because they don't have the knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's it's a night and day part.
Yeah.
It's not like you made a joke of like
Yeah,
they're
they're not
not like a bat,
nocturnal, they're not like bats.
sleepwalking and all that stuff. So it just it's a way of saying in a different way, not just a simple.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
The reality of duality. In the dream world, everything is dual, Dvaita for the person. The knower is distinct from the known. The known is distinct from the knower. And the knowledge, of course, is distinct from the knower, being something that the
I have
knower.
one quick question. When Nana was saying that Guru Sostram, Dvanditam is what did Dvanditam means? He said, I forgot.
Dvandvatitam.
Uh,
Dvandvatitam is the one who is beyond the pairs of opposites.
Oh, yeah, Dvandatita. So Dvaita, the Dvandatitam is
It's different, yeah.
different. Okay. Is
Dvaita,
about the. Mhm.
yeah. Dvaita is seeing two, seeing
Yeah.
duality.
Dvandva is actually opposite, pairs of opposite.
Yeah. Dvandva is pairs of opposites. So I just want to go back to this one, the last para. If you are totally asleep or totally awake, you have no problem. Totally asleep is someone who is like maybe
No, Jnana.
yeah, no jnana, like a mad person maybe, or
Right.
totally awake. A totally awake person is like a muni, a samyami, a sthita
Yeah.
prajna. There's no
Mhm.
problem. The problem
Yeah.
is when you are only half awake. All of us are in that state now. This being a state where mistakes are possible. In dream, a person is partly awake, meaning that there is some projection by the mind. The person is not identified with the body and the physical reality, but is identified with memories and thoughts from which a dream world is set up. That is why you get so involved in the dream. Sometimes you suddenly wake up also thinking, if it's a nightmare, you might just wake up sweating and all that. So we are in that state right now. So there is half awake, we are half awake. And that is why he calls all of us as somnambulists, like we're sleepwalking. What is known, what is not known to people is called the sleep of night, the sleep of darkness, or avidya nidra. In this sleep of ignorance, people are like somnambulists, sleepwalkers.
Yeah, they're all dreamers.
They're all dreamers.
Mm.
So the reality of duality. In the dream world, everything is dual. Dvaita for the person. The knower is distinct from the known. The known is distinct from the knower. And the knowledge, of course, is distinct from the knower, being something that the knower has and for which there is distinct object, that is the known. This division in dream is a reality for the dreamer. But upon waking, all the three, the knower, the known, and the knowledge become one and the same. The known objects in the dream are not separate from knowledge. The knowledge is not separate from the knower, and the knower is not separate from the waker. All the three that belong to the dream resolve into the waker when the person who is dreaming wakes up. The waker was the knower, the known, and the knowledge in the dream. The knower is the waker. That is why one says, I dreamt. The Atma, the self of the knower that obtained in the dream, obtains also in the waking state, as evidenced by the expression of the experience as I dreamt. I was the one who was dreaming. In the dream, however, everything is a reality. Even the Veda recognizes duality, addressing you as a doer, a karta. Shankara discusses this in his commentary to this verse. The Veda tells you to perform certain karmas, and it also tells you what you will gain by doing them. There are very specific differences mentioned also. It says, this karma will produce this result if it is done in this manner by this person at this time. Thus, rituals to be performed are set out in the Veda, all of which implies duality because it addresses a karta which is different, who is different from the karma he does. The Veda that says you are the non-dual Brahman addresses you in the earlier sections as a person who wants certain results and who is going to get these results later. The connection between the person and the results is established by performing certain prescribed rituals, the result of which is punya. This punya is what connects the person to the result. The people, rituals, and the results are all different and therefore constitute duality. Your perception also tells you that one object is different from another object. Perception gives rise to different types of knowledge, and based on that knowledge, you conclude that everything is different from you. The first part of the Shruti, as we have seen, also confirms this difference by addressing you as a doer and not as Param Brahma. If the Veda were to address you as Param Brahma, it could not ask you to perform action. Thus, it can only address you as a doer. The Shruti deals with the person who is available right now. You are now a doer, and that doer is addressed. Furthermore, the doer is told that he or she will be an enjoyer later if certain karmas are performed. If they are not done or not done properly, the person will have problems later. Even if a wrong action is done, the doer will still be an enjoyer, but the enjoyment will not be very pleasant. In this way, the Shruti keeps the person in view and talks about what is good and bad for the person, what should be done, and what should be avoided. Thus, it looks as though the Shruti is for the doer alone, and that duality is a reality. Naturally, then, the person looks upon himself or herself in the waking state as someone different from the world, just as in the dream. This is what is meant by the sleep of ignorance. Because of ignorance alone, the person is said to be sleeping. Sleeping here means that one is a dreamer. The person is not totally sleeping. He or she is awake, doing various activities. There is even a valid pramana available to the person, enabling him or her to know that certain actions are right and others are wrong. As long as the sleep of ignorance continues, everything is valid for the person in the waking state, just as it is in a dream. One doer is different from every other doer, and one enjoyer is different from every other enjoyer. The physical body is the place of enjoyment, the counter of experience from which you encounter the world. It is the point from which one operates. You are an enjoyer, and a mosquito is also an enjoyer. you being the object of its enjoyment. Thus, you find there are many enjoyers and different kinds of enjoyments. There are different doers and different types of doing, all of which are valid. Therefore, pain and pleasure are valid. That I am a small person is valid. That I am someone who is struggling to prove myself to be somebody is valid. That the struggle never comes to an end is also valid. This is so beautiful, the way he's described the duality. This is all the Vyavaharika Satya, the transactional reality. So we are
But then
different. Huh.
when he says duality, he keeps saying the known, knower, the knowledge, right? I mean, in that
Yeah.
perspective,
See,
mhm.
as long as the knower is different from the knowledge and the known, you are in duality. That is how in the dream, the knower is different from the known and the knowledge. That is why you are able to see yourself as different from the other objects you have created, people you have created in the dream. But the moment you wake up, what is happening? All these three merge. The knower, knowledge, and the known all come together.
Right. When you wake up, you all come together, but in
All come together.
the dream, it doesn't.
Dream, it doesn't. Now, what is happening is, even in the so-called wakeful state that we are, you and I are in, it is like we are in a dream. That is why we are able to see each other as different. The knower is different from the known and the knowledge. The pramana is there. Dharma is there. Adharma is there. So we have that pramana also that tells us what is right and wrong. That is why once you are awake to the knowledge of Atma, this distinction between dharma, adharma does not really exist. It exists only as long as we are in the duality.
Duality, right.
It is only in this dual world that the pairs of opposites exist. Good, bad, evil person, good person, noble person, ignoble person. All that actually vanishes once you awake to the knowledge that you are the absolute. It makes so much sense now, no? Because I always had this conflict. When he's there in the pairs of opposites, how come we are only going towards the positive and not the... So now it actually makes sense. One is, of course, the swabhava
We
is...
have the knowledge, and I mean, I know it clears the thing, but there's still, there are things going to be there, right? I mean, the people with no knowledge, and then there's somebody who has knowledge.
Yeah, that is why this verse, no? That is why this verse is to bring about this difference, that a person who is awake, the person who is wise, for him, the night to a normal person is day to him, because he is able to see very clearly. And what
So
is
he's trying to make a statement. The wise understands the wise. That's how
correct.
he to bring this
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Okay, got it. I was wondering why we are going into all this.
Yeah. Therefore, pain and pleasure are valid. So as long as we are in the dual world, there is pain, there is pleasure.
Right. I mean, basically, it's Maya. Everything is Maya. Point, right? Whatever we are doing, everything is Maya until you figure it out. This Atma Jnana.
Shall I read the reality of oneness? I think I will read it as one flow. Might take a few minutes. The reality of oneness. Everything seems to be valid to those who see themselves as distinct. But amidst all this validity, one thing alone is not known, the Paramartha Tattva. The word Tattva means reality, and Paramartha Tattva is the ultimate reality, that which is the essential reality of everything. The differences that seem so real in dream and waking have no independent reality apart from this essential reality. What is essentially there is only one thing, and that is what I am. Tad aham asmi. The knower is myself, the known is myself, the knowledge is myself, the doer is myself, the doing is myself, and the done is myself. The world is myself, and the knower of the world is also myself. That all three, knower, known, and knowledge, are myself is an entirely different vision altogether. In reality, there is no difference whatsoever. For a wise person, the Paramartha Tattva is one thing alone, and it is oneself. This Paramartha Tattva is not recognized by those who are not wise. For them, everything is real. This means that there is more than one reality for such people, which is why the world is always too much for them. To think that everyone is different from you means that everyone is as real as you are. Words too will have their own realities so that everything is as real as everything else. Naturally, then, you find a world which is dual. In other words, you experience samsara. While others are in this great sleep of ignorance, the wise person is awake to the Paramartha Tattva. He or she is awake to the reality of the I, the knowledge of which nullifies the division between the knower and the known, since in reality there is no division. Therefore, I am all of this. Aham idam sarvam. Previously, I was only one among the many. Now, the vision is that immanently I am everything, and transcendently I am free from everything. To this fact, the wise person, the samyami, is awake. Comparison is not possible. So this is clear, no? This one?
Yeah, it's nice.
It
That
is
actually makes big, big
big
sense.
difference, yeah.
Yeah.
Comparison is not possible. Those who are not wise are awake only to divisions. These divisions are very real for such people. Whereas for the wise person, for the person of inquiry, whose vision is very clear, any division is night. The samsara that people complain about, he or she does not see at all. That's so beautiful, no? Oh my gosh, that he does not see any division. One person may say, I am sad, but the wise person does not see any sadness. Others complain that the world is too much for them, but the wise person does not find it to be so. It is not that the world is too much. You are too much. You are everything. Therefore, I am limitless. Aham Purnaha is the vision for the wise person. Whereas other people say, I am limited. Aham Purnaha. I don't know. Maybe there's a typo here. Maybe it's Aham Apurnaha.
That's what I
This,
thought.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it is the same both, no? It is,
Yeah.
I am
I'm
limited.
limited. Yeah, not limited. Yeah. Limitless.
This is their vision, which for the wise person is like night, because this is not their understanding at all. What is day to everyone is night for the wise. And what is night for everyone else is like day for the wise. Thus, wise are wise, and the other wise are otherwise. The other wise do not know the wise, and the wise do not see like the other wise, because night and day do not meet. They cannot coexist, one being the opposite of the other. When the day breaks, night is gone. When night comes, day is gone. The day always ensures that night has gone before it comes. This is the role of the dawn. Lord Sun tells the dawn, Aruna, messenger of the sun, to go and make sure that the way is clear. Dawn then comes and clears the way. Thus, before the sun comes, night has already gone. In this way, the sun and the night do not meet. Shall I continue? Must be late for some of you.
Yeah, I can be here for a little bit more.
Little bit more, okay. Here is my story about why the sun rises every morning. Narada, who is often found in mythological stories, was able to go to the gods without any particular passport or visa. Or one could say that he had a cosmic passport, as it were, since he could go from one world loka to another. In this particular story, Narada went from the earth to the sun. The sun asked Narada what the people thought of him on earth. "O Lord Sun," Narada responded, "in India, they do salutations to you in the early morning. Do you not see that when you come up? Nowadays, very few do it." The sun replied, "In the past they did, but not now. But what is it that they say about me?" Narada told him that everyone praises the sun, that when the sun comes out, everyone is happy. "You are always praised everywhere, O sun, except, of course, in the Sahara Desert and Saudi Arabia. What did, what did you see that you liked on the earth?" The sun then asked Narada. In response, Narada told him that there was one person whom he thought the sun should see, someone that he had never seen before. "Everyone praises you as omniscient, but I would have to say that you are not omniscient, because there is someone, I think, you have never seen." "What?" the sun exclaimed. "I am not omniscient. I am the sun. I see everything. Who is it that you think I have not seen?" "There is one lady called Miss Darkness," Narada told him. "Where is this Miss Darkness?" the sun then asked. "You can see her on the earth," Narada replied. "Where will I find her right now?" asked the sun. "She is in India. If you go there, you will see her," Narada told him. Eager to see Miss Darkness, the sun rose in the eastern sky. But Miss Darkness had gone to the west, to the antipodes, the opposite side of the globe. The sun then became angry. He really wanted to meet this woman, and so he set out after her again. But when he went to the antipodes, Miss Darkness had already gone to the other side, and when he went to that side, she was again on the opposite side. In this way, the sun continued to move around trying to find Miss Darkness, and is still doing so even today. When he comes to the east, Miss Darkness goes to the west. When he goes to the west, she comes to the east. They never meet each other, just as day and night never meet each other, because they are opposites. You cannot even compare the two. Thus, it can only be said that the sun is like the sun and darkness is like darkness. So this, in analogy, the wise is wise, otherwise is otherwise. Only the wise can see the wise. So we'll stop here, I think. We'll continue this, the vision of the wise and the otherwise. Because otherwise it might go spill in a little. Although it's nice to continue to read, we will put in a stop here.
This is for the 69, right? We're still
69th
not.
verse. Yeah, this is the
We haven't finished.
Yanisha Pashyato Munehe.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, this is so beautiful. Actually, it becomes addictive, no? You want
Yeah,
to
like you
continue.
keep reading and be nice. I even thought of calling somebody, hey guys, you want to read in the morning with me sometime,
So if
that
it's
is,
okay, I don't know how many, we're only 4 of us. If it's
yeah,
okay, should I continue reading a bit?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, till the next shloka I will read then.
Yeah,
Because this is nice in a good flow, then the understanding is there. Otherwise,
yeah,
you,
then you miss it, then you don't know what is
yeah,
going
correct.
to figure it out when you read the next paragraph.
So, let's read this one. Where are we? So this is, you cannot even compare the two. Thus, it can only be said that the sun is like the sun and darkness is like darkness. The vision of the wise and the other wise. So too, a wise person is like a wise person, which means that no comparison is possible. Therefore, Arjuna did not become wiser by Krishna's statement. For the wise person, what is reality is limitless. Oneself being everything is reality. The reality is that Ishvara is myself. For other people, Ishvara is located somewhere, in heaven perhaps, and is only a matter of belief. He sends people down and then meddles in their affairs. They think. People have so many kinds of beliefs because for them, the statement, I am everything, is not a reality. Therefore, there are all kinds of conjectures, speculations, faiths, and beliefs. We find that for the ignorant, the ajnanis, everything is guesswork, whereas for the jnani, the wise person, there is no problem. The jnani sees no problem at all, whereas for the other person, everything is a problem. For the wise person, everything is a glory. The physical body, the mind, and the world are all glories, vibhutis, my glories, mama vibhutayaha. I am the food eaten, aham annam, and again, I am also the eater of the food, aham annadaha. I am the thinker, and I am the object of thought. I am free from all these too. I am free from all these also. The ignorant are asleep to this vision of the reality, and the wise are asleep to what the ignorant are awake to. How beautiful this is, no? And this is such a nice correlation between what we're reading and what chapter we're actually doing right now.
Right now, yeah, that's what I was thinking, the Vibhuti glory.
Vibhutis, no?
Yeah. Mm.
So for the wise person, everything is a vibhuti of the Lord. This is
Yeah.
something like, this is something like one person seeing a snake and another
Mm.
person seeing a rope in the same object. The person seeing the snake sweats and shivers in fear. Even the sound of the snake's rattle is heard by this person in spite of the fact that there is no snake. There is only a rope mistaken for a snake. So this is where all the guesswork of the unwise person comes in. There is only a rope mistaken for a snake. Once a snake is seen, everything else comes along with it. The sound of the rattle, the sight of its head rising, and so on. For this person, the snake is a reality, whereas for the other person, all that is there is a piece of rope. And he or she does not see what the frightened person is fretting about. The one who sees the rope as rope will either treat the other person with compassion or simply walk away because he or she does not see a problem. Even if a person is told that there is a snake, he or she will only reply that there is no snake, there is only the rope. So I'm just wondering, when we go to Gurudev and enlighten people and tell him or them all our problems, for them, it is like they're just looking through. There is no problem. We are seeping in problem, in misery and all that. You're going through a difficult phase. But for them, it is nothing at all. There is no problem they see.
Yeah.
You might go to them saying, I'm sad, I'm miserable, but they don't see any sadness. So beautiful. So what they are awake to, what the unwise is awake to, the wise person is asleep, is night for him.
Right.
Because he does not see that. What he sees is only reality. He sees only one. And whereas the otherwise see only difference.
Yeah.
So beautiful this is. To know a wise person, you need to be wise. This is strictly a matter of two different visions. How then is Arjuna going to understand a wise person? Krishna was saying here that he could only do so by being wise. There is no other way. Being ignorant, you want to understand a wise person. In fact, there is really no such thing as a wise person. Wisdom is you. You are the wisdom. The wise person is one who knows himself or herself. And if you know yourself, you are a wise person. And until you know yourself, how are you going to understand a wise person? To be a wise person, you have to be wise. There is no other way than of knowing the wise person. In response to Arjuna's request for a description of a wise person, Lord Krishna told him, the verse under study, that it takes wisdom alone to be a wise person. The wise person is a wise person. He or she is awake to a reality to which everyone else is sleeping. This answer could only have created despair in Arjuna because he wanted to know the characteristics of a wise person so that by emulating them, he himself would become wise. But Bhagavan managed to confuse him even more. The sleep of ignorance that prevents one from knowing a wise person was explained further by Shankara in his commentary on this verse. For the wise person, there is no activity because he or she no longer takes himself or herself to be a doer. This applies not only to the performance of Vedic rituals and prayers, Vaidika Vyavahara, but to worldly activities, Laukika Vyavahara as well, such as eating, cooking, dishwashing, bathing, laundering, vacuuming, and conducting business. The notions, I am doing this, I am the doer, are no longer there.
Yeah, I have a question, like even though we talked about this karma yogi attitude, right, that you are not the doer. So, for example, like you are cooking food, what will you say to yourself? Okay, I'm not cooking.
What you do for karma yoga? Yes, you.
How do you say that I am not the doer? But at the same time, how do you say, you are the one who have to cook and do all the work around the house? But I can say that I myself surrendered to the God already. So I give it whatever, I don't know, I do it in your name or, or something like, how do you kind of get rid of the
See,
doers?
I think for karma yoga, there is an element of duality. See, that is why you're able to act, isn't it? But then you do it as an offering to the divine. You're not doing it to get some limited desired result. You're doing it as an offering to the divine, and whatever result you get, you take it as his prasada.
And you can think like
Say
you
that.
are the instrument or you are the nimitta for this work to happen. So there is no doership also.
Yeah.
You're just a nimitta.
You're just performing your role. That's it.
Right, but you said something about offering to the god. How do we do that?
Yeah, like for instance, if you're taking a bath, or you are bathing, you're giving bath to your own child or your grandchild, then like how you would do Abhisheka for the Lord,
Right.
how you would wake up your grandchild or your child, like how we sing Suprabhatam for the Lord. Similarly, rather than, wake them up and say, hey, get up, it's time for school, and scold them that you're still sleeping. Instead of that, you convert that the very act of waking up your child, the very act of cooking, the very act of feeding your people at home, if we can convert that into as if we're doing it for the Lord, that element of bhakti comes in there.
Oh,
And
I see.
isn't it? So then
Yeah.
you're not doing it, therefore, that you're not doing it for, you're doing it out of that joy, out of happiness. You're not
Right.
doing it for happiness.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
no matter whether what you've cooked is come out well or not come out well, you accept it as prasada. You will not be affected by the outcome.
Outcome of it. Okay.
You will
So
not
yeah.
be.
Okay.
So
So
when we continue to do all whatever we act in the world with this attitude, this leads to purification of the mind. Atma Shuddhi
Okay.
happens. That
okay.
Antakarana Shuddhi.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
wondering
either
if do it with the attitude. What attitude is that? I mean, I thought maybe you leave that do. I'm not the doer. But then, how do you like that? Now I got that. Okay, that Katsatva Bhavana. That's what you guys we were keep talking about, right?
Yeah.
So okay, got it.
It is called Nishkama Karma. We do it without not without expecting a result. No action
This
can be done without expecting a result. But
right.
whatever the result comes, you take it as prasada.
See, if you have seen, even in bhakti, there is two.
There is
Because,
duality.
yes, the other day Guruji was saying about this, no? But when it intensifies, it takes you to that one. Then you become that.
Correct. So there is some element of duality in Karma Yoga. So to perform action, I have to know I am a doer. See, we're coming to this, Dr. Mara. So
This one, like in the previous paragraph, we talked about Vivakara, right? That Vaitika Vivakara.
yeah, this is for a wise person. No, see, the wise person, there is no activity because he or she no longer takes himself or herself to be a doer.
Right.
What wise person we're talking of is a jnani, a sthita prajna. This applies not only to performance of Vedic rituals and prayers, Vaidika Vyavahara, but also to worldly activities like eating, cooking. Remember that shloka, Pashyan, Shrinvan, Jignan, Ashnan, Swapan, Shwashan. All this is just happening. But it is not, he is not doing it. He is only the witness to it.
Okay.
Because that doer is not there, you're not also the Kartritva Bhavana is not there. So Bhoktritva Bhavana is also not there.
Not there, right? So this wise person, when we say, that means he is he had realized himself
Correct.
and steady. I mean, his wisdom, he has the knowledge.
Right.
So this why that means Atma. When you realize, then he's not any. I mean, usually we say Atma is not doing anything; it's just watching. That's what we say, right? He's non-doer. Atma, he's not involved in
Correct.
anything.
Correct.
Right.
So that is why only a wise person can understand a wise person. That is why Gurudev, whenever everybody asks, so many people ask him, are you enlightened? He
Mm-hmm.
says, a person who is enlightened will not say he is.
Yeah.
And if he says he is, he's not enlightened.
Oh, yeah, so for us to know they're enlightened or not, we have to be enlightened,
Correct.
right?
We have to be enlightened.
Oh my God.
Jai Gurudev, I would like to share something.
Yeah.
Recently, my two grandsons are on a short visit to India with my son-in-law. My daughter couldn't make it. So they were with us. I mean, the kids were with us. And the younger one was sleeping. And I wanted him to get up. And I don't know how to make him, be out of bed. So I just went near him and just kissed his cheek and all. And he's so, instantly he hugged me. And then when he opened his eyes, oh, it's Amama. I thought it was mommy. So I was literally in tears, That kid is missing his mother. And it happened so that I could I could give that feeling to him that his mother is waking him up. So that connects that I'm doing it for the as a samarpan bhav, as if
Yeah.
I'm making him I'm making the God get up. As a, that feeling was different. When I remember that, I become emotional. So when you talked about that, when you are doing something, you do it in a for God. That clicked me. So I thought let me be out of it.
Very nice.
Very
So
nice.
you had a direct experience, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Jai Gurudev.
It is a shift in our relating to the world outside. Yeah. To perform action, I have to know I am a doer. When you look upon yourself as a doer, you perform rituals, and if you do not perform them, you will do something else. And this something else may incur sin. With reference to the performance of rituals, then, the Veda only addresses the person who takes himself or herself to be the doer. A brahmachari, a student, has to have the notion, I am a brahmachari, in order to perform the karma enjoined for brahmacharis by the Veda. If a brahmana is enjoined to do certain karma, then the person doing it must look upon himself or herself as a brahmana. The same thing applies to other varnas and ashramas. The Veda does not say that Satchit Ananda should perform karma. It says that a brahmana, a brahmachari, or a married person, a grahastha, should perform karmas. Karma then is enjoined only for the one who looks upon oneself as something or other, such as I am this, I am that, etc. It is not meant for the person who has jnana, in whom self-knowledge has taken place. Once this knowledge has dawned, it stays. Self-knowledge is not a dawning knowledge. It is a fully blazing midday sun. In the wake of this knowledge, worldly and scriptural karmas both go away because all activity, vyavahara, is born out of the notion, I am the doer. Unless you consider yourself a doer, you cannot perform scriptural or worldly activities. Activity itself being a product of self-ignorance. But for the one who has self-knowledge, this ignorance is not there, and thus it is said that the vyavahara, all activity, goes away. Knowledge removes the notion of doership. Does knowledge remove the product of ignorance, or does it remove the ignorance itself? Shankara deals with this question in his commentary on this verse. When knowledge takes place, the ignorance is removed. This knowledge, which is of the nature of a discriminative understanding between the real and the unreal, Atma Anatma Viveka Jnana, is opposed to ignorance. Thus, when self-knowledge takes place, self-ignorance goes away. And when ignorance goes away, its broods, its products also go away. To take the classic example of the seeing of the rope as a snake, ignorance of the rope produces a snake. When the rope ignorance goes away, the snake also goes away. And when, we may ask, does the rope ignorance go? When the rope is seen, when it is known. Rope ignorance will go only in the wake of rope knowledge. Therefore, rope knowledge is the opposite of rope ignorance. When rope ignorance goes, anything that was there due to that ignorance will also go, because when the cause of a problem is removed, the symptoms also disappear. Similarly, for the person who has knowledge, all activity is gone. Such a person becomes a sarva karma sannyasi, one who renounces all karma. The Veda sets out the karmas that have to be done, and Shankara clarifies as to who has to do them. The person who has such notions as, I am a brahmachari, I am a brahmana, I am a married person, I am bound by time, spring, new moon day, full moon day, morning, evening. The one who has these kinds of notions about himself or herself, the one who thinks that he or she is time-bound, place-bound, and group-bound, is the person whom the Shruti, the Veda, addresses with reference to the performance of rituals. If the person knows, I am Satchit Ananda, the Shruti does not address him or her at all. In fact, it says that you are Satchit Ananda, but it reserves this particular statement for the last chapter, which is what we call Vedanta. Until then, the Veda talks exclusively about rituals and meditation, all of which are Dvaita, dual. Only at the end of all this does it say, you are that Brahman, Tat Tvam Asi. Should I continue a little more? Why should I perform karma? The question may then be asked, why did the Shruti not say this in, I had this question in the very beginning when this Yamimam, Pushpitam, Vacham was there. I said, why did the Veda bring us to all of this? Why did it put up all these rituals? Why should have told us in the beginning itself, no? So the question may then be, so Swamiji is nicely putting that question here. Why did the Shruti not say this in the beginning? If it had done so, I need not have done all this karma. I did the morning and evening prayers because the Vedas said to do them, and I had faith in the Veda. Now I find that these karmas have become a colossal waste, because at the end of it all, the Veda tells me that I am Brahman and that karma is of no use. If karma will not give me moksha, why did it not say so in the beginning? The reason the Veda does not tell you right in the beginning that you are Brahman is because you have to be ready for this knowledge. By performing karma, you are able to eventually get to the last chapter of the Veda and understand what it says. By not performing karma, you will be neither a jnani nor a devout person. You will only be driftwood with no moorings whatsoever. The rule is that those who are not ready for the knowledge should not be disturbed with it. You will see this later in the Gita. Instead, people are encouraged to perform karma in order to prepare their minds for the knowledge. They are told about Swarga, heaven, in the beginning, so that they will perform the enjoined rituals for gaining Swarga. In this way, they will definitely avoid Papa and Punya will follow. The person who performs karma will have a value for dharma, adharma, right and wrong, and will come to believe that there is an Atma, a self other than the body. That much is enough in the beginning. Once you respect dharma, adharma, the ability to discriminate between the real and the unreal will not be far behind. To respect dharma, adharma is not to be swayed by your raga and dvesha. Therefore, the pressure of raga dvesha will be less. This is what is meant by viveka. Viveka begins as soon as you start to question what is what. First, there is an internal leisure, and then viveka naturally comes. Once viveka is there, you will naturally turn to Vedanta. Only in this way can you proceed properly. Therefore, as long as self-ignorance is there, one should perform karma. Whereas, once there is self-knowledge, there is renunciation of karma. Sarva karma sannyasa. So it is actually a happening, the sarva karma sannyasa. You cannot enforce it upon you. So till then, you should continue doing your karma. Shankara repeats this argument throughout his commentary on the Gita. This is because there was a notion prevalent in his day that the Veda enjoins one to do karma and at the same time to gain the knowledge that I am Brahman. This position maintains that both will give you moksha and is refuted by Shankara at every opportunity. Or if either karma or jnana is adequate for moksha, why should anyone do the other? If moksha is something that I produce, why do I need jnana? And if karma is not going to produce moksha, there is no reason to do karma. If I am Brahman and I merely need to know it, which is Shankara's contention, then jnana is moksha and I do not need to do anything. Thus, the question, why should one do karma? The answer is that one performs karma in order to purify the mind for chitta shuddhi. Chitta means mind. We have seen the word shuddhi with reference to raga and dvesha. Reality is already accomplished. It is not something to be created. Reality is. Whatever the reality, that is what is. It is a thing to be recognized. Therefore, even if you do millions of karmas, you do not create the reality that exists. Because of the prevalence in Shankara's time of the synthesis argument of combining karma and jnana, he goes all out to clarify the difference between karma and jnana. There are certain topics that every teacher has to highlight, given the views of his or her time. In Shankara's time, the jnana karma samuchaya vada, the contention that moksha is not gained by knowledge alone, but by a combination of knowledge and action, was widespread. Therefore, he found it necessary to refute it by continually pointing out the fallacies in it. This is the job of a teacher. Here also, Shankara points out that karma applied only until knowledge comes. For one who does not have knowledge, the karma enjoined by the Vedas is a valid pramana, whereas for the wise person, it is not. Once the jnana is there, the person is a simple sannyasi, one who is not a doer and therefore one for whom no karma is enjoined by any shastra.
So then basically when you attain knowledge, you become renunciate of everything.
Correct. It is an happening. It is a very natural happening.
Yeah. I mean, which means you still do it, but you're not having the doership for those things.
Yeah,
That's what it's called laukika
correct.
vivakara. Yeah. The other word what we read was sarva
Sarva karma sannyasi.
and this last one was, what did they say? It was
Vaidika san. Which one? Which one are you talking about?
no, he said another sannyasi here, right? I forgot.
Simple sannyasi.
Oh, simple sannyasi. Yeah. The jnana karma sannyasi or something like that.
Jnana karma sannyasi, sarva karma sannyasi. Sorry.
Yeah,
That was
and then there was also something about jnana karma, something you read.
Jnana
What?
karma sannyasi, is it? No, it's called sarva karma sannyasi.
Yeah, the
It
jnana.
is,
So,
no, once you have the jnana, then
Mhm.
you become sarva karma sannyasi.
Right, but then this like there was one word you read, samuchya, something like that. It's at the end.
Samuchaya.
Samuchya.
That is at the point when Shankara was there during his time. There was this the vada
Argument.
was going on. Argument
Mhm.
was that. Let me read that.
He
Karma
he
jnana
he read,
karma samuchaya vada.
yeah, the Shankara is saying the karma is not useful in attaining knowledge.
No.
That's
He's
his
not saying
word.
that.
He's not,
He's saying
uh,
doing karma alone will not lead you to knowledge.
right.
It is only through jnana.
Yeah, right.
Because
Mm.
reality is, no matter how many millions of karmas you do, you're not creating reality.
Reality. Yeah.
Reality, that veil of ignorance has only to be removed. That light has to be brought in for the darkness to go.
Mm.
So for that, there is no karma required. It is only through jnana.
Mhm.
So
they have.
apparently at that time, during Shankara's time, this jnana karma samuchaya vada, the contention that moksha is not gained by knowledge alone, but by a combination of knowledge and action. That was prevalent then. So that was a
Oh.
notion. So
Mhm.
he had to continually refute that by pointing out the fallacies. So
Mm.
he points out that karma
To
applies only until knowledge comes.
and after that,
After
the
that, karma loses its significance.
right.
So then you become a simple sannyasi.
Mm.
Once jnana is there, you become a sarva karma sannyasi, or a sannyasi, basically.
Right. Yeah.
There are 2 more pages.
Mm.
If you want me, I will continue, but it is quite late for you, Dr. Mara.
I know, almost fell asleep.
Fell asleep.
I know it is almost 11 o'clock, right? But it's okay. You got 2
5
more parts.
minutes. I'll go till the
Finish.
next shloka, okay? A
Yeah,
wise
yeah.
person cannot be emulated based on action. Since a wise person does not do karma, you cannot emulate him or her. You cannot say that because he or she does not do karma, you will not do karma. The wise person does not perform karma because the need to do so is no longer there. Because you still need to perform karma, you cannot imitate a wise person in this respect. Krishna did not say that the wise person is one who does not do any karma. To say that this person has no duty whatsoever could be interpreted by a mumukshu in such a way that he or she would not live a life of karma yoga and instead would become nothing more than a lazy person. This is why Krishna pointed out here that for a wise person, night is what is day for everyone else, meaning that no karma is enjoined. What is a means of knowledge, pramana for you, is not a pramana for the wise person. In fact, what Krishna was saying here is that for the wise, there is no pramana at all. Even the usefulness of the last pramana, Vedanta, is over for them. So because for them, the knowledge, known, knower, all of them merge. They become one. So even Vedanta loses its significance for them. Vedanta says that you are Brahman. Until you know this, Vedanta is a pramana, and afterwards it too becomes mithya. With knowledge, there is no means of knowledge, known, or knower. The differences between these three having been swallowed. The pramana, the means of knowledge, is gone. It is Brahman, as are the pramata, the knower, and the prameya, the object to be known. The very knower is cancelled by the knowledge that says, you are not a knower. Resolution of the knower-known knowledge. Shankara says that the final pramana, the statement Tat Tvam Asi itself, goes away, having dismissed the pramana. An example generally given to illustrate how the knowledge works is the method of using a thorn to remove the thorn that is lodged in one's foot. Once the thorn is removed, we discard both the thorns. There is also a more interesting example used. When a body is cremated, a huge funeral pyre is made out of wood. If the person who died was rich, the pyre will be made of sandalwood. But this is the only difference. When the pyre is ready, the body is placed on it, covered with husks and small pieces of wood, and then the fire is lit. Once the body has caught fire, the people who came for the ritual all go away. But the ritual itself is still incomplete and continues the next day when the person performing the ritual comes to pick up the ashes and bones. This person is either the departed one's eldest son or a cousin, someone who is closely related. When this person comes to pick up the ashes, there should be no portion of the body left unburned. It must be burnt thoroughly. There should be nothing remaining but the ashes and bones. Until this happens, the ritual is incomplete. The person in charge of the cremation ground is the one who must ensure that the body is completely burnt, because the body is not to be touched and being in the fire cannot be handled. A stick is used for this purpose. Once the person is sure that the body is completely burnt, he throws the stick into the funeral fire. Having done its job, the stick also gets burnt. Similarly, the statement, you are that, Tat Tvam Asi, is a pramana. It is like that stick. The pramata, the knower, you, the jiva, is told, you are Brahman. If you are Brahman, there is no knower. After this knowledge takes place, the pramata is just an as though pramata. There is no real pramata anymore. When the knower is told, you are not a knower, you are Brahman, the knower is sublated. And when the knower is not there, where is the pramana? It too goes. All the three, the knower, known, and the means of knowledge are understood to be Brahman. All duality goes in the wake of this knowledge, including the knower, the known, and the knowledge itself. The known, the prameya, is gone because there is nothing to be known, nothing to know. Once knowledge takes place, all the three, pramata, prameya, and pramana, become meaningless. Therefore, all the knower-known knowledge activities resolve in the wake of knowledge that I am Brahman. This is what Krishna meant when he said that what is day for everyone else is night for the wise person. This was alone conveyed by Shankara in his commentary. All translations, therefore, should be read with this meaning in mind. Emulate the values of a wise person. Any description of a person of steady wisdom, sthita prajna, is useless, really speaking. We can only talk about the wisdom, prajna, that makes a person wise. Unless you have this wisdom yourself, you cannot understand what a wise person is. A Mahatma knows a Mahatma, whereas one who is not a Mahatma cannot appreciate a Mahatma. Therefore, any description other than an unfoldment of the wisdom that makes such a person wise is really meaningless. But still, Arjuna wanted a description. He also wanted to know how a wise person reacts to the world. In his response, Krishna told Arjuna certain things, including the fact that one cannot emulate a wise person, except in so far as values are concerned. The wise person may not perform Vedic rituals. For such a person, these karmas are no longer necessary because the previous performance of the scriptural injunctions has found its fulfillment in wisdom. Whether the person has taken sannyasa or not, he or she is a sarva karma sannyasi. The doership is already negated in the person. There is no real doer. And when there is no real doer, there is no real karma. In this way, the wise person is not bound by duty of any kind. To emulate a wise person, therefore, is dangerous. Krishna mentioned the mind, values, control, and mastery of a wise person because these alone are to be emulated. In this way, Krishna confirmed for Arjuna that the characteristics of a wise person, as demonstrated in his or her interactions in day-to-day life, can become the means, the sadhana for a seeker. Finally, Krishna said that a wise person is as different from an ajnani as day is from night, meaning that there is no way of unfolding what a wise person is. What is night for all the people is day for the wise, and what is day for them is night to the wise. Arjuna was bound to be flabbergasted by this. He was definitely not going to be any wiser for having heard this particular verse. Therefore, out of sympathy and compassion, Krishna followed his night and day example with another example, an illustration that Arjuna could hold on to, and one that would enable him to appreciate in a way what a wise person is. So, verse 70 will go tomorrow.
It's so the
This
way
is
you
so,
put it
so
class.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And thank you all for being there.
No, it is nice, like I wish, like in our morning, your night, your morning is my
I
night.
know.
Jai Gurudev, can I take 2 more minutes, please?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Because it is bothering me.
Yeah.
Since I heard Madhuri ji about her mother-in-law, my
Mm.
mother-in-law was, got a stroke on 24th. Just precisely, I'm telling you. And my daughter, who's the only child, she was in an advanced stage of pregnancy. And I had to leave for her delivery, during her deliveries and all. But what happened was, my mother-in-law was in ICU, and she was restless. Her hands were moving continuously. Then I had to leave. I have no choice. And what happened was, before leaving, that is on 27th, I went to her bed and cupped her hand in my hands. And I just told her, I am going to Vidisha. That's my daughter. And yes, that emotional things came out, all those things. And I came out. When I turned, those restless hand was just relaxed. Okay, one thing. And this happened around 4 o'clock in the evening. And I came and I was just packing my stuffs. At 8:30 in the evening, there was a call that she's no more. What is this? And while I was cupping her hand, I could feel that she's absorbing what I'm saying. You know, when Madhuri ji was explaining her ordeal about her mother-in-law and all, then just struck me. Our Atma is one. myself and my mother-in-law. So Atma connected, and whatever I had to say, that conveyed her. And and that's how peacefully she could move forward. And after exactly 12 days, my daughter delivered. Exactly after 12 days. Jai Gurudev, I don't know what it is. And I think it is connection of Atma and rebirth. Could be because my grandchild is a boy. His legs are exactly same as my mother-in-law. His behavior with me and my husband is same as my mother-in-law.
Yeah, it's possible, it's very nice.
It's a wonder actually that all this.
Yeah. Your
It's
connection. That's a connection, like.
I don't know, and my husband is only son, and my sister-in-law was here, and she is also very spiritual. She told me that just go out of this house, go to your. I mean, my mother's place is just about 20 minutes apart. So you pack a single bag and go there. So just before going, I just thought, let me tell her. Because all these years we were together, she was very, she's wonderful. I can't say, and I was in a two mind whether to go or not, because there in US, this delivery and all, it is not very complicated and all. They take care of themselves very nicely. That also I knew, but the bond between the grandchild and that grandmother was so deep that I can't explain it now. No. Yeah. That's it.
Wonder.
That's it.
Nice.
That's it. Jai Gurudev. And all these times we were getting late, and so I just hold myself by sharing this.
I'm happy you wanted to share this, and it happened today.
It's really nice, nice sharing. Yeah, that's a nice experience also, right? Like
it's a wonder. It's a wonder. According to Garbha Shastra, they say the soul either takes place at the time of conception, or it can also come in just at the time of delivery. So it is all a wonder. It's a mystery when the soul actually enters the body.
Yes, possible. It is all his will. And of course, my mother-in-law has done Sudarshan Kriya. And when the stroke happened, and I said, Jai Gurudev, because I was all alone in the house. My husband was on tour and nobody in the house. So I just calling Jai Gurudev, and she said, yeah, that was her last sentence. Abhi bula tere Jai Gurudev ko. In our language, Gurudeva ko. Yeah, no. And this, that has taken care. Same thing happened with my mother also. She was bedridden. I was in Pune and she was in Bombay. My brother calls up that she is sinking. Then I said, just take the phone to her ear. I will chant Gita chapter 12. And I chanted the whole chapter 12. And early in the morning, 5:30, and 6 o'clock again, my brother calls up, she's no more. And I closed and I was forwarding blessing. I could see Guruji just beside her bed. What was all those things, Cannot
even
imagine.
you're very blessed. Even that thought of wanting to chant, and that she listened to all that is that Purva Janma Sukritam, and that
I don't know.
My
mother is daughter of priest. I don't know. Now I simply, I don't know. That's a simple, wonderful, I don't know.
Yeah. What was there are some things we just wonder, no? This is one of them.
Yes.
Nice. Thank you for sharing.
Jai Gurudev, Jai
Yeah,
Gurudev. I took
Jai
a lot of
Gurudev.
time, but I'm very happy.
Yeah.
Not just because of share, but things come up so wonderfully with us in time to time. Jai Gurudev Brahmanaji and
Yeah.
everybody.
Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai
You want to
Gurudev.
say
Jai
their
Gurudev.
loka
Yeah.
samasta?
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Now, actually, we can ask Maraji if,
Yes.
whether she can feel the Atman, a dream state.
Huh?
She must be already
Yes,
dreaming.
The dream state is that we are half awake, half
Yes.
half sleep. That's the
Oh,
state
today
we
was a
are in.
marathon session. I think today was the longest session we've had. But it was
No,
good to go in a flow.
yeah, but yeah, at least this is the thing. We should keep one sloka, at least we have to finish. Otherwise, that way you kind of get some knowledge about what it is. Yeah, but it was
Yeah.
really nice.
Nice. It was.